Hey guys, this is Rogue from G17. I just want to make a quick video about the Tokyo Marui Glock 22 and Glock 34. Specifically, how is it different from the Tokyo Marui Glock 17? Is it worth buying? Why would I buy it? So on and so forth. So let me first start off with the most basic question, which is how is it different to the Tokyo Marui Glock 17? There's literally almost no difference, with the exception that maybe the 34 has a extended slide release. A slightly bigger magazine release, has a 34 slide. Those are very minor stuff, to tell the truth. Completely not important at all. The only thing that's worth noting is that the inner barrel is slightly different compared to the Tokyo Marui Glock 17. Is not that much longer, and frankly, I'm not entirely sure why they did it that way. It's not important at all. Just trust me, when you buy this, just treat it as a Glock 17. Same goes for the Glock 22. There's literally nothing that's worth discussing when it comes to these two pistols, because they're basically the same thing, except for one thing. So, when it comes to these two pistols, for some odd reason, Tokyo Marui decided to update the trigger bar. They actually designed the trigger bar to be ever so slightly different. It's still compatible with the 17 system, but for some odd reason, they decided to redesign the trigger bar in such a way where the trigger disconnect is actually stiffer. So, now I have no idea why Tokyo Marui actually did this. So just let me show you. So the trigger disconnect, this is what it is. It's when the blowback housing unit pushes this downwards. Now normally this takes little to no effort to push down, but on the Tokyo Marui Glock 22 and 34, they are fairly difficult to push down. So much so that if you decide to fit aftermarket metal slides like this one, this is a PTS Battle slide. If you decide to fit any metal slides onto the Tokyo Marui Glock 22 and 34, you will feel like it's stiffer and harder to pull the slide. That's the reason why. It's because the trigger bar is a little bit different, and the trigger disconnect is stiffer. That's the reason why. In fact, I'm actually going to show you guys this on camera, because it's very hard for you guys to visualize what it looks like, so I'm actually going to clarify it in this video. And again, the other details for these pistols are completely not important. Like, the other minor stuff, completely not important. Only the trigger bar is the most important thing to take note of. That's my personal opinion. It's Glock 26 right here. Very cute. So excuse me for my voice. I just actually came back from a game. I'm a little tired. I'm actually very tired. But so many people have been asking me this question on Facebook that I think I should make a video about it, because it does need to be addressed, to tell the truth. So I'm just going to take this apart very sloppily. I need to disassemble this fully, just because this is not a detailed disassembly video, it's just meant for me to quickly do this. Oh man. I feel so out of it after Hong Kong outdoor games. And I just had a beer and I feel horrible. Actually, I don't know why I drank beer. Beer tastes horrible. Don't drink alcohol, kids. It makes you feel like crap. Okay, pin aside. So everything here is the same. Don't worry about it. Oh, by the way, I do realize something, that the hammer spring feels a little bit stiffer than the Tokyo Marui Glock 17. That's the only thing I feel like might be a little bit stiffer, but I can't confirm this. Is because I don't have any rotary spring method to actually figure out the strength of the hammer spring. Anyways, so here's the major difference. So let me grab a Tokyo Marui trigger bar. Okay. So this is the updated trigger bar I'm talking about. You will notice it's updated is because it says Glock 17 right there. So at a first glance, the trigger bar doesn't look any different, right? It doesn't look anything that you haven't seen before. But if you look right here, if you look right, oh, I hope the camera will focus. Can you see that major difference? If you look very closely at this one, there's a hard 90-degree angle, and you'll notice that the bottom part of this L hook / J hook, this is the part of the area that contacts the sear. Notice how large it is compared to the this is the normal one that we're used to seeing. This is the updated one. Notice the difference. It's quite a big difference. Sorry, I'm not holding that very well. It's hard to hold these trigger bars. See? That's the reason why your trigger disconnect is harder. That's also the reason why your trigger pull is ever so slightly stiffer. Now the reason why this is because so let me first explain the easy part. The reason why your trigger pull might feel a little bit stiffer is because whenever you have a lot of angles contacting the sear, on the Tokyo Marui Glock 17s and 18s, and pretty much every single airsoft Glock, they operate on leverage. So basically the trigger bar will actually hold on to the sear by pure leverage. It doesn't actually stay connected to it. For example, actually I don't have any examples in mind right now, but just basically know that it operates by leverage, and because when you have all these angles and this large sear nub on the Tokyo Marui, the trigger pull will feel a little bit stiffer. Okay, if you guys watch my lightweight trigger pull mod, you guys will probably understand what I'm talking about. I'm not explaining it very well because, sorry, I'm a little bit drunk. Anyways, and that's the first major difference. The second major difference is the trigger disconnect. So I'm actually going to show you what that looks like. So this is what it looks like right now. So if I push the trigger bar, notice that there's a bit of a snap to it. And the reason why this is because the disconnect is stiffer. That's what's causing it to feel stiffer. Okay. And now, this is the original Tokyo Marui trigger bar. Okay, watch very carefully. Oh, sorry, it just tipped. Oh, sorry, it just tipped. My bad. Let me redo that. Much less effort, okay? Now, I can't exactly show you this very clearly, but you sort of, just trust me on that. It's just because the disconnect is actually softer. It pops out of here very... Actually, that wasn't a good demonstration because it just popped out forwards. But basically, I'm just going to hold this trigger bar here like that. So basically, if I push down on the trigger bar, it just comes off just like that. While this one, the updated trigger bar, it's a bit of a, I don't know if you can see this in camera, there's a bit of a slippage before it actually lets go. See that? You see how I just moved it, but it's still not disconnected yet? Now it's disconnected. That's the reason why your trigger pull is stiffer. So this is basically the most important part on the Tokyo Marui Glock 22 and 34 that you have to pay attention to. So the method that people normally use to fix the trigger disconnect is actually quite simple. The first obvious thing is that you can buy another trigger bar, right? That's the first obvious thing. Just buy any other trigger bar that you want. Just don't buy Garda. Oh, by the way, if you buy a Garda trigger bar, this is actually a very good reason. This is actually a very good way to explain to you guys why the Garda trigger bar is bad. The Garda trigger bar actually has a very large J hook. That's the reason why sometimes your gun goes full auto, and why the trigger disconnect feels stiffer. That's the reason why you don't use the Garda trigger bar. And also the height of the Garda trigger bar is a little bit higher. You actually notice that compared to Tokyo Marui, their updated trigger bars are also ever so slightly taller. So, to be honest, I have a theory that Tokyo Marui maybe did this. Maybe it's because this is some sort of weird way to tackle the trigger bar bending, because I do notice that's thicker. Like, that's a really big thickness difference, right? Maybe, but I'm not entirely sure why. This is a very poor way to go about it, to tell the truth. I'm actually not sure. I'm not Tokyo Marui. Actually, there's no point of us asking these questions, is because Tokyo Marui will never tell us. So, anyways, so yeah, one of the first methods that you can do is just buy another trigger bar, right? The second method that you can do to fix this is to modify your chassis. So this is just more of a personal preference. When it comes to Tokyo Marui Glocks, you can actually modify the trigger disconnect to be softer by modifying this 90-degree angle over here. So you see, right? I'm just readjusting the camera angle. You know what? Can you see right over there? You see that corner that goes down like that? That 90-degree area that just points down right in front of the sear nub? If you notice, that area is not a perfect 90-degree. It's actually slightly slanted. And the reason why this is because it's actually meant to hold your trigger bar. If you make that area more of a 90-degree angle, so basically you file this area to be a little bit more straighter, like a little bit more 90-degree, that will make your trigger disconnect slightly softer. So this is a very unpopular way to modify your Tokyo Marui Glock. The reason why this is because this is going to be a little bit difficult to explain. I'm just trying to think of a good way to explain it. So since I'm speaking to mostly U.S. people, I think, or maybe other countries, I'm not entirely sure where you're from. When it comes to WE Glocks, I don't know if you guys know, the chassis on the WE Glocks is actually pretty much doesn't have this corner at all. And because it doesn't have that corner, WE Glocks tend to, you know how so you know the trigger like this, if I actually push, the hammer's not cocked. If I push it like this, it'll actually stay like that. But for the WE, it will keep doing that. Like, it'll just keep going back out like that instead of staying here like this. And the reason is actually because the chassis is actually too shallow on this area, so it doesn't hold the trigger bar properly. If it doesn't hold it properly, basically what happens is that you just give me a second. If you don't do it, if it doesn't have that area, what will happen is that your trigger will feel a little bit strange, and also your sear engagement will be slightly off. It's because whenever you have that area on the chassis a little bit too high, imagine if the trigger bar was sitting higher. Okay, that's basically the WE. That's actually the reason why the WE, when they did that, their sear is actually smaller. If you notice, their sear nub on the WE is smaller. That's the reason why they do all of that. Is to compensate for that. Now, as to the reason why they make it like that, then I have no. As to the reason why they just didn't fix it instead of modifying the base design, that I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what these people are thinking. So yeah, so I taught you how to modify it. I taught you what to do if you can't, if you really don't like this trigger bar. I don't ever recommend people to use this trigger bar, but I'm going to use it in my builds is because I like to have Glocks with different parts in it, just so you get to experience different things. In reality, it just mostly has to do with fitment, right? Like, in reality, you can get this to work. In reality, you can get the Garda trigger bar to work. It's just a lot. It's just a lot of unnecessary extra work. Oh, by the way, the Tokyo Marui Glock 22, if I recall, I can't remember the Hong Kong prices. I recall this being $890 Hong Kong dollars, and then this is like $880, and then the Tokyo Marui Glock 17 is like $850 Hong Kong dollars. That's all around 110, 120, 130 US dollars. So, like, you're basically paying more to have an annoying problem. Like, that's sort of the reason why sometimes, when people buy the Glock 22s and 34s, they sort of don't like it or want to get rid of it, is because of this issue. Right. So, I'm sorry if I'm not explaining this very well, but I hope you guys sort of understood what I meant. So yeah, that's it for the video, guys. I hope you guys found it informative. Let me know what you guys think. Please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. I also have a Facebook page that you can follow me on, in which I'll leave a link in the description box below. Peace, guys. Happy shooting, and thanks for watching.